Give advice to any parent today pertaining to their children's education, what would that be?
Unfiltered AF, real ones rise, no mask, no flex. Lights on, mic check is next. This is the truth, Unfiltered AF.
Today on Unfiltered AF, we've got somebody who's rethinking traditional education, who we could say is a trendsetter, who thinks outside the box and who dared a couple of years ago to start her own institution where her passion for education and a passion for kids comes alive. We want to welcome Lizeth Kotze. Welcome, Lizeth. It's truly an honor to have you here with us today to just share your passion and how you do things different and how this started, academic success. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's start with that. If academic success was a person, what would they be like?
Definitely hardworking, dedicated, and most important for me is to create a change in other people's lives. For example, for me, it's children that maybe struggled in your normal mainstream schooling for whatever reason, and we give them that foundation and belief that I can actually do this. And we've had many success stories. So academic success is not only an academic institution, but it's also changing people's lives and making parents proud. And yeah.
So you said and you mentioned that maybe learners who struggled in a traditional schooling system. So tell me more, what is academic success then exactly?
So academic success is what you would call a homeschool tutoring center. So parents, for various reasons, might decide to take their children out of your traditional school. Not necessarily only children that struggle. I have to stress that.
Yes.
However. So what we then do is we've got very small classes with a maximum of 12 kids in a class. We call them attendees, so not students. And so therefore they get a lot more attention. So a child who maybe has a little bit of gets distracted easily in a classroom, where in your traditional school you've got 30 plus kids, for example, in a class, and with us the classes are a lot smaller. So it's a lot easier to see when that child is, for example, rather looking out the window or not paying attention to the lesson. It's easier to keep your eye on 12 instead of, let's say, for example, 30 children. So children who might have a little bit of a learning difficulty do thrive under our conditions. And then it's a lot more flexible than your traditional schooling. So we have students, for example, that's taking part in a sport that needs to go overseas or on certain camps or tours, and it might fall within, let's say, your traditional schooling exam period, where then it might be a bit of a problem. But because we're doing homeschooling, it's a lot more flexible. Other arrangements can be made. The child can even write the exam while they're on camp or on tour or overseas.
Remotely.
Yeah, which is definitely not a problem. So it's a little bit more versatile.
Okay.
And it's also now date set. So, for example, if a child isn't necessarily ready to write the upcoming exams, he doesn't have to write it during the scheduled period. He can write it at a later stage when both him and his parents, for example, might think, my child's better prepared now. Something that we also have, for example, is we have a student who's got an illness which inhibits her to attend formal schooling every single day, because sometimes she's in hospital for long periods of time.
Sure.
So she's doing grade 12 with us, but she's doing it over a period of 2 years.
Okay.
So then she's got less subjects, there's less pressure on her, and it's a lot more manageable in that manner.
And just to secure her education and to lay that foundation, that's important.
Yeah.
Now, Lizeth, you mentioned that academic success is a homeschool-based model.
Yeah.
Now, I know for some there might be a stigma towards the term or the phrase homeschool. Do you maybe want to elaborate a little bit on that? It's not like there's somebody looking over your shoulder and it's one person or homeschool, the kids can watch TV or whatever the case might be. So just unpack that for us so that our viewers and our listeners can understand actually the quality of your institution.
Well, I was one of those skeptics. I'm going to be very honest with you. I taught in mainstream my whole life. Didn't know much back then about homeschooling, and I was one of those that would raise my eyebrows, homeschooling. And as things happened, we moved from the Free State to Gauteng, and our one son said, well, he doesn't want to go to a new school. He doesn't want to make new friends. He's going to do homeschooling. And I thought to myself, this is nonsense, boy. You're going to go to school,
Of honors.
and so he then did the homework. My husband was more open about it. I was the traditional teacher, typical Model C school.
I'm actually seeing, so your husband is sitting right there and he's like, oh, hey.
Yeah, no. So at the end of the day, they convinced me and I saw what it could be. Now, there's different ways of doing homeschooling. So mom can take responsibility at home for the child's homeschooling completely. It's also nice for maybe people who live on a farm that's far, that don't necessarily have to put their child in, a res or a hostel or something like that. And it truly opened my eyes in that sense that you still get the same education, you get the same matric certificate, and it's maybe just a little bit more flexible. So what we do in that sense is we help parents that has made that decision, I don't want to put my child in a mainstream school for whatever reason. And there are plenty of, or many different reasons. And where we come in as you as a parent don't necessarily understand all the content or exactly know maybe a different method how to teach the maths or whatever the case might be. So where we come in is we assist the parent with that. So the children come to us for lessons and the parents can decide, do they send them just for one subject? Do they send them for all subjects?
Okay.
We also, the kids do the assessments under exam conditions, very strict exam conditions at our center. So they still, it's not a case of when my child then goes to university, all of a sudden they have to write exam in a room and it needs to be quiet and they're not used to it. So we do everything the way that it should be done. So your child's not disadvantaged in any way or form. And then especially now with the law on homeschooling, when your child gets to what we call the FET phase, which is grade 10, 11, and 12, your child, even though your child's maybe enrolled for homeschooling, are not allowed to write the assessments under the supervision of a mom or a dad. It needs to be done with someone that is accredited. And I'm happy to say we've got plenty of my staff that just passed the exams once again.
Amazing.
So that parents can bring their children to us. So even a mom who's doing homeschooling with their child at home, who needs that accredited person to do the exams, they can come to us, they write their exams with us under the proper conditions, and everything is above board. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I think you've got me sold on it. So how do you build trust with parents?
The proof is in the pudding. Let me put it that way. Now it's a lot easier. About 8 years later, it's a lot easier because I think our reputation speaks for itself. But what we do offer is we say we've got an open policy. First of all, parents can pop in anytime they want, take them around, show them so they can come in the morning and I can show them what the classes are like, how the kids are taught. They can see that there's absolute discipline. And then what we offer the parents, which is free, is the child can come for a day visit. Okay, so the child can come to us for the day. He attends the day as if he's already enrolled. He does all the work with us. He meets the friends. He spends the day there. He meets the educators. And at the end of the day, we then give the parent feedback. And the parent can obviously speak to their own children as well and ask how it was. So there is that trial day for them just to get the surety as well.
Now, with traditional education, what are they still getting wrong? That sorry to interrupt you there, that academic success is getting right.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't necessarily think that the traditional education system is doing something wrong. I think they are simply trying to make the best of the hand that they are dealt with. The only difference, and I say this to many parents, it's not like we at Academic Success have a magic wand and we can make all the problems disappear. But with us, and this is very important for me, and that was part of the reason why the classes are so small, is we build a relationship with each and every child. So all the children know all the staff know all the children, we know the parents, we know, and we sometimes joke about it where if a child comes out of the vehicle in the morning and we see his face, we know he's going to have a bad day. It's simply just building that personal rapport with both the students. And in many cases, I just think, for example, when I still taught in mainstream, I had a class at one specific school where I had 73 kids in my class. For us, I think it's definitely the fact that our classes are smaller and that it is more personal and one-on-one. But it's not to take anything away from, and I've got many colleagues still teaching in your normal, mainstream schools. And I think it's not like we can say the education system, some people are very negative, but a lot of kids still do very well.
Yes.
In our normal mainstream schools and many success stories. It's just, this is an alternative for that child that maybe has got a bit of anxiety and they don't do well with a lot of kids, or that just maybe needs a little bit more attention.
Okay. Out of that now, what's been your proudest moment in the last 8 years at Academic Success with a child or with children or with parents or with your team?
There's many. There's many. I think one of the biggest things for me was one of our very first students we had. The mom actually brought the child to us for extra lessons only. The child was in a mainstream and he had a bit of a difficulty. And on the first day he came for the extra lesson, I realized, and the child was in grade 2 at that point. This child could still not read or spell. And I phoned the mom immediately during the lesson. I said, listen, once a week, an hour lesson, ain't gonna do it. We need to actively work with this child. She ended up bringing him to us 5 days a week. And I am very proud to say, within less than 6 months, we got him to read, to spell in both English and Afrikaans. And eventually she took him out of mainstream and she put him in with us full time. So that is the major success story. You know, from not being able to read a single word or even spell the alphabet in grade 2. Big thing for me.
It just shows you that the potential you can unlock.
Definitely.
If you execute maybe differently or alternatively.
Yeah.
And give that child the attention they actually require.
Yes. Yeah. And eventually they moved away and she's placed him back in a mainstream school and he's functioning perfectly.
Amazing.
And I'm just thinking, you know, if someone maybe didn't intervene, what was that child's future going to be like?
Exactly. You changed their future for the better. But obviously, with running a center like this, you do have your success stories, and it's not always easy. At the end of the day, this whole vidcast that we are doing is about business as well. It's about small and medium businesses in Alberton, local business and surrounding areas. At the end of the day, your center needs to be run like a business.
Definitely.
You've got team members, employees, you've got children, you've got a syllabus, you've got a product that you're delivering to the parents as well.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't come without its challenges.
Definitely.
You as a center owner, founder and business owner, can you unpack the business side a little bit of challenges you had to overcome and what's encouraging on the flip side of the coin about running a business in South Africa today, in Alberton?
Well, obviously I would say the main thing for me is the funding, because there's no funding coming in from anywhere else. So if we don't have students and if we don't have parents who pay and keep their accounts up to date, then obviously that poses a big problem. We've got amazing parents and who do pay, but people lose their jobs and there are difficulties in that sense.
Yes.
I had to learn very quickly about business. Being a teacher, I mean, I wasn't really exposed to the corporate world, so I didn't necessarily know how to do the books and how to try and keep all the legal aspects like safety and that kind of thing, health and safety, for example. So I had to learn very quickly. Luckily, you've got people that you can ask and you don't know, and you learn as you go along. I think in that aspect, I've grown a lot because I took all of that upon myself, and I still do. So it's not that I've got an accountant really or a business partner. But yeah, my husband also gives a lot of advice, and you might ask around. And I've got lovely parents who's also got their own businesses who would maybe make some suggestions. But yeah, I think we're absolutely blessed in that aspect. And we're moving forward every day. So
Awesome. So tell me your ultimate vision for academic success. What is that?
ultimate vision, I must be honest with you, I think, first of all, it's very important for me not to become stagnant. If I think from where we started to where we are today, we are constantly evolving. We are constantly implementing something new to add value. For example, we now quite recently, a week or two ago, we've implemented an additional program, which we call the Academic Enrichment Program, where we've identified children who really struggle, let's say, in a specific subject. And we have started this program where we're giving them additional extra one-on-one help with that to bring them up to par, and it's all free of charge. And it's adding value to what we do. We've quite recently added, for example, a cafeteria on campus.
Oh, nice.
I don't want to get bored. I hate being bored. For me, constantly there needs to be something new. Even if it scares me, let's try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least I know we tried. So for me, it's constantly building on that. So at this point, I think the way academic success is, I can't really foresee that I can add more to it the way that it is. But I would love to add a completely different, can I say, side to it, which focuses solely on remedial academics.
Okay.
So for me, possible next step, open another campus which is just focusing on remedial.
Well, just from my own observations, I've seen how academic success has grown over the last couple of years. I know you were in a facility in Brackenhurst, and where you moved to a new facility, how long ago? 2 years ago it was? 3 years ago?
Well, we moved, the one that you know about. What happened was we outgrew that campus.
Fantastic.
And we had to make a plan, so we got a second campus. So it's until end of last year, we had 2 separate campuses where we did grade 1 to grade 6, and on the second campus we ran grade 7 and up. And then we started a rollover, so at this point we also now have up until grade 12.
Okay.
But then it became too difficult, the 2 campuses, because then you're on one campus and something happens there. So we've now merged the 2 campuses. We're in a brand new building, which I'm very, very proud of. Still, adding touches here and there to make it look even better. But yeah, we're definitely evolving into, but this new campus is full now. We can't really expand. We moved in only January. I honestly thought, okay, here's space. But we're in August and we can't add much more there. So
Well, that's a good problem, isn't it?
So I think I'm going to go back to having 2 campuses probably soon.
Because I actually saw that being built. I drive home every day there, and I saw being built, and I saw the academic success board there in Van Woerten Street, Brackenhurst. And it's just amazing that there's such a beautiful story out of this as an authentic business in Alberton, that you're a trendsetter as well, number one, and your passion is evident in the kids, in their education, in how you and your team can help them in, how can we put it, solidifying their future, making sure that they've got the foundation correct to step into the adult world one day, whether it's going to study, whether it's going into work, or whatever the case might be, but there's a solid foundation for them. If you can give advice to any parent today pertaining to their children's education, what would that be?
I would say first of all, don't accept necessarily what someone says about your child. Don't accept that if, for example, they tell you your child can't make it. Don't accept it.
Limiting beliefs.
Yeah, don't. There's many options, and don't stop until you've tried all those options. And believe in your child and support your child, definitely. And if your child can only average 50%, then be proud of him for that 50%. But if your child can do better, please believe in him and do everything from your side as well, and be involved. Be involved, I think is one of the best things a parent can do.
Be involved, be encouraging,
Yeah.
be supportive of your child.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Is traditional education the way forward, or the alternative the way forward? We just had this powerful testimony from Lizeth of academic success, how alternative education models in South Africa today could be shaping the future of young minds and students and learners or children moving into adulthood, moving into the workplace, going for further education later on. Now, Lizeth, tell me, how can people get hold of you if you said you're full? So, but how can they get hold of you if they need advice, or they want to keep in touch with new developments, or maybe you starting your next campus when there is space opening up, or enrollments and so forth?
Well, we've got a website, we've got a Facebook page, all our contact details are there. If they drive past the campus on Merton Street, the telephone number is quite visible. We also do transport, so my bus has been, sometimes people phone me and say, I just drove behind you, on the highway, can you tell me more? So all our contact details are on Facebook. Just Google Academic Success. We've got a website.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Unfiltered AF. Chatting to Lizeth Kotze today, founder and owner of Academic Success. Is your children set up for success? If you don't think so, get in touch with Lizeth. Make sure that your children's future is solidified by your decisions as a parent as well. Thank you so much. Let's tune in again next week. Please like, share, and subscribe to this page to hear more encouraging stories of business owners who turned a love and a passion into something that can change minds, change lives in Alberton, in South Africa. Thank you. See you next time.
Unfiltered AF, real ones rise, no mask, no flex. Lights on, mic check is next. This is the truth, Unfiltered AF.